How you doing? I'm Callan and this is Slapped Ham. So today we got something a little bit special. It's some bonus content for the week. It's a massive compilation of some of the scariest YouTube videos we've ever seen. So sit back, relax and enjoy. Many people are familiar with the anticipation and excitement that goes along with an intense amusement park ride. As riders line up, they wait anxiously for their turn. That adrenaline typically levels out once the ride is over, however. But what if the footage of the event shows that you were riding with a ghost? This video, which was posted to YouTube by Eli Zix, has made many people's hearts pound. But it's not because the ride itself is scary, it's because the woman on the right side of the screen seems to suddenly disappear. Take a look. The woman on the far right, wearing the white top, is laughing along with a group that appears to be made up of her friends, but she never seems to interact with them. As the ride continues, the woman seems to vanish. When the video is viewed in slow motion, the mysterious woman's face looks unusual. Takes on a strange grey hue. According to YouTube commenters who saw the original post published by the woman in pink who's sitting next to the disappearing individual, there were only 3 people in that row. The woman in pink never saw the woman in white until she watched the footage. Rumour has it that a young lady died on the ride in 2008. While she was on the ride, something went wrong. The woman suffered burns to her face and unfortunately died. Some say she still joins riders on the pirate ship today. So could it really be the lady caught in this footage? Is she really a ghost? Or just another passenger who happened to cower behind the woman in pink when the pirate ship picked up speed? Love to hear what you think in the comments section down below. In 2016, a video that was recorded by a private security camera went viral after Chris Mitchell-Clare, the homeowner, posted it on Facebook. On the night the footage was recorded, Mitchell was at home asleep. Little did he know that his front gate, which usually remained closed, had been pushed wide open during the night. When he awoke in the morning, he decided to do some investigating and played back the security video from the night before. Take a look at what was captured. The video clearly shows a closed gate, but then the camera appears to malfunction, creating a scrambled, digitized version of the mysterious activity. When the image on the camera clears up again a few seconds later, the gate is wide open. Mitchell-Clare says he didn't see any burglars as he expected. Instead, he believes that he witnessed something supernatural. A close-up of the footage reveals a strange figure at the edge of the gate. The fact that the video has 2 different timestamps has caused many viewers to question its authenticity. Mitchell-Clare notes that the timestamp on the right of the screen is the camera's internal clock. Because he never said it, that timestamp is inaccurate. The correct one, he says, is on the top left. That's the DVR's timestamp, which indicates exactly when the recording took place. It only took seconds for the eerie event to take place, but the image will be frozen in Mitchell-Clare's memory forever. According to locals in Sunshine Beach, Australia, the town where this took place, someone had died on the property several years earlier. While Mitchell-Clare isn't sure whether these rumours are true or not, he does affirm that the footage is real. In 2017, a bar in Liverpool, England changed its name from Garland's to Brickworks. It was at this time strange and unusual things began happening around the premises. After hours, as a cleaner went about her duties, something eerie took place. CCTV cameras managed to capture the incident. The footage was uploaded by Garland's. Take a look. So as you can see, some papers fall off a stool behind the cleaner. Seconds later, the woman ducks down abruptly as though she's dodging a swiftly moving object. There is a window to the left of screen. Although it's difficult to tell whether it's open, some viewers have assumed that wind knocked the papers over, or blew in a projectile which surprised the woman in the video. However, new staff at the former Garland's location say that other disconcerting events have been happening. Another video shows orbs floating around the space. Although they could just be pieces of dust, orbs are thought to occur when spirits are around. Other team members have witnessed lights flashing, toilets flushing, and faucets running on their own. There's even been strange black handprints appearing on the dance floor despite no paintwork being done on the premises. Employees wonder whether someone or something is trying to send them a message. The mysterious activities have even made their way to social media. Brickworks' marketing team has had trouble changing the name of the business. When they attempted to update the Facebook page with the new name, it kept reverting back to the old one. Facebook looked into the issue and couldn't explain what was happening. Although the video seems to speak for itself, some wonder whether the business is using manipulative techniques to gain a social media following and get some free exposure. Sam Quek is an Olympic gold medalist. She's perhaps most recognised as a field hockey player, but some people may know her for the strange video she posted which captures something peculiar in her garden. The video came from her CCTV security camera. Take a look at what was captured.
But as you'll see now when we press play, there's no wind, no leaves blowing around, no movement in the trees, so keep an eye on here. Notice the flip of the cushion and the flash on the grass. What the hell is that?
On the night the footage was recorded, there was no wind in the Merseyside backyard. In her narration, Quek explains that she's baffled by the fact that some cushions from a lounge chair disconcertingly fly across her yard.
So we woken up this morning and one of the heavy armchairs of the rattan furniture set has ended up on the grass. So we went back on the CCTV just to check that there was no one robbing the joint. But as you'll see now when we press play, there's no wind, no leaves blowing around, no movement in the trees. So keep an eye on here. Notice the flip of the cushion and the flash on the grass. What the hell is that?
She initially checked the CCTV footage because one of her heavy outdoor chairs had been moved overnight. She wanted to make sure that no one had broken into her yard while she was sleeping. Some fans who watched the footage suggested perhaps a large rodent of some kind had flicked the cushions into the yard. Others insisted it was indeed the wind. So, having seen the footage, what do you think's going on here? Love to hear your theories down below.
Notice the flip of the cushion and the flash on the grass. What the hell is that?
If you were hiking through the woods and felt a presence lurking around you, what would you do? Jacob Gardner whipped out his phone to capture it on video, which caused quite a stir in the La Crescenta, California community in the summer of 2017. Gardner was just 40 feet away from the road taking a nature hike during his work break. He says he felt like something was watching him, but he didn't notice anything peculiar during his walk, although he did decide to record part of his journey on camera. It wasn't until he got home and slowed the video down that he witnessed something strange. Gardner says that it was his mother that first saw the beast. The recording shows a large ape-like animal swinging above his head. The creature is moving deftly from tree to tree. While news reports suggest that it might be an escaped exotic pet, Squatch Me Now on Instagram comments that it could be a juvenile Sasquatch. California Fish and Wildlife representative Andrew Hunan says that the creature is most likely dangerous and no one should interact with it if they spot it. Instead, they should stand still, then slowly walk away. It's not common to see apes near Los Angeles. There are no wild primates in the area outside of captivity. Moreover, it appears that no zoos or sanctuaries reported an escaped ape. Therefore, there's some speculation as to what the creature in the video actually is. Do you think it's a descendant of Bigfoot or just a wild animal? Love to hear what you think in the comment section down below. During a recent T20I cricket game between Bangladesh and Zimbabwe, something truly bizarre was captured on camera. The July 2021 clip, which was uploaded by Rabbit Hole, shows batsman Mohammad Safieddine facing an incoming delivery. Keep an eye on the wickets behind him.
He's probably going deep in the crease. Oh no, it's just happened on its own. How did that happen? Wow!
The batsman isn't anywhere near the wicket, yet it moves backwards on its own.
I've never seen this ever in cricket.
Yeah, you've just taken the words out of my mouth. I have never ever seen anything like that.
If you're unfamiliar with cricket, you may not get just how strange this incident is. The wickets are firmly placed into the ground and don't move easily, and wind has no effect on them. As you can hear, both commentators have never seen anything like it before.
I've never seen this ever in cricket.
Yeah, you've just taken the words out of my mouth. I have never ever seen anything like
One commentator even calls it a supernatural incident, as he's at a loss to explain it any other way.
He's probably going deep in the crease. Oh no, it's just happened on its own. How did that happen? Wow! That's something supernatural. I've never seen this ever in cricket.
Being an Australian, I've watched cricket all my life and I've never seen anything like this before as well. For our cricket fans in the audience, what do you make of this bizarre incident? Love to hear your theories down below.
He's probably going deep in the crease. Oh no, it's just happened on its own. How did that happen? Wow!
St James Cemetery in Liverpool is the resting place of many individuals, some of who had disturbing and untimely deaths. Children who passed away during the cholera epidemics are interred there. So is William Huskinson, who was the first person to die in a passenger train accident. People have reported ghost sightings in this cemetery for decades. Huskinson, who was run over by a train, has been seen limping around his mausoleum. A black-robed woman from the Edwardian or Victorian era has been glimpsed near a tomb that was unearthed by grave robbers more than 50 years ago. Perhaps no one's surprised by yet another ghost sighting in St James Cemetery. Still, the video is incredibly creepy. The recording was uploaded in 2017 to the Way I See Liverpool page on Facebook. Take a look. A transparent figure materializes and vanishes repeatedly on a garden path in the cemetery. While some may pass this off as a trick of the light or a smudge on the camera, the figure changes location and shape. Although it's fairly blurry, there is definitely something there. Given the cemetery's eerie past, it's hard to not have your mind wander into the realm of the paranormal when watching the creepy footage. Nottinghamshire residents have long reported strange happenings in a heritage-listed building known as The Village in Mansfield, UK. Unexplained moans and shadowy figures are often said to plague the centuries-old building. Historians say that an old barn once stood on the property many years ago. Prior to the 19th century, it was said to be used as a hideout for monks seeking refuge. One day, the barn was set alight and 7 monks perished in the blaze. Having heard of the tragic history of the property, full-time paranormal investigator Lee Roberts decided to investigate the building for himself. Roberts and his team held a vigil. Using a Ouija board, they attempted to make contact. They even held hands, calling for any spirits to make themselves known. Several team members reported feeling uneasy, but on the whole, nothing too unusual seemed to happen. That was until Roberts checked the CCTV footage from the building. Take a look at what was captured. As you could see, an eerie smoke seems to roll through the room. Roberts has maintained that he's very scientific when it comes to his investigations. He doesn't like jumping to conclusions, but admits this is a very strange sighting. The bizarre event quickly caught on when several UK journalists ran stories featuring the strange CCTV footage. Viewers were quick to link the story of the burning monks with the strange smoke-like substance caught on camera. Some skeptics thought it might be vape or cigarette smoke caught on film. However, due to the Grade 2 heritage status of the building, the venue has a strict no vape or smoking policy. So what do you think's been caught on camera here? Could this strange smoke really be linked to the tragic history of the building? Let me know your thoughts down below. The London Underground has been reported to be haunted for many years. With a long and dangerous history, it's no wonder passengers and staff alike have seen and heard things that can't quite be explained. Neil Andrew Pike and his children were returning home from a day out visiting the Science Museum in Kensington. Pike had been filming all day, capturing the afternoon out with family. While waiting for the train at Knightsbridge Tube Station, Pike was filming the dark tunnel, expecting to see the train arrive at any minute. That's when he noticed some movement, but couldn't quite tell what had happened. When he watched the footage back, he was stunned at what he had captured. The video was uploaded to the YouTube channel ZeroFoxFK for all to see. Take a look. It's hard to spot at first, but if you zoom in, there's a dark figure leaping out onto the tracks. To make this sighting even more chilling, Knightsbridge Station has a dark and gruesome past. According to historical data, in 1664 the area was used as a plague pit. Anyone who died at the Knightsbridge Lazar House, which is basically a leprosy quarantine zone, was buried deep underground, right near the current tube station. In fact, the train tracks curve sharply between Knightsbridge and South Kensington stations, just to avoid the old burial grounds. So could the shadowy figure caught on camera by Pike be linked to the old plague pit? This footage was uploaded to the Instagram channel Squatch Me Now, and it seems to show a sighting of an animal that viewers can't quite explain. Take a look at what was caught on film.
Who's that?
As you can see, some kind of animal is lurking among the trees.
Who's that?
It's a large bipedal creature. At one point, it even seems to blink right at the camera.
Who's that?
The camera holder seems genuinely panicked as you can hear him taking some deep breaths.
Who's that?
Unfortunately, the source, date and location of the original clip is unknown, which has led some to speculate that the whole thing's a hoax. However, a lot of viewers were stunned at how realistic the footage looks. The blinking in particular has left many Sasquatch enthusiasts hopeful that this really is a genuine sighting.
Who's that?
So unfortunately, until more details emerge, this strange encounter will have to remain a mystery. A ghost hunting team operating out of Liverpool, England, known as Lionheart Paranormal, claim they have captured evidence of the supernatural. In 2017, the group were investigating the infamous St James's Cemetery when they captured some strange activity. They were on the hunt for the spirit of a little girl quite famous to the area, Little Grace. Grace is believed to be an 8-year-old girl who died from pneumonia. Legend has it she was from a wealthy family that lived in nearby Cambion Terrace. Grace loved playing among the cemetery, so much so she would brave freezing temperatures and rain just to play among the graves. It's thought that these harsh conditions led to her contracting the deadly condition. Grace's wealthy father was said to be so tight with his money that he refused to pay a doctor to look after his daughter. Sadly, she passed away under frightful conditions. The father was mortified that people might find out about his transgressions and not do business with him, so he told the town that Grace had moved south to live with his sister. In one corner of the graveyard, near a spring, a small stone is etched with the words, "Little Grace." Many believe that the father secretly had Grace buried in this out-of-the-way part of the cemetery to avoid suspicion. For years, locals have reported seeing a little girl playing in the graveyard. When they approach her to ask her where her parents are, she runs away, never to be seen again. Kevin Robertson Hale, the lead investigator from Lionheart Paranormal, was in the area when he captured this eerie footage. Take a look.
Go on, Kev. So
Can you
sure.
talk to us, please?
It's there. There.
As you can see, a strange mist or vapour seems to rise right out of the ground.
There.
It wasn't a misty night either, which makes the sighting all the more strange. Then, sometime later, the group managed to capture an EVP from out of nowhere. Take a listen.
Is there anybody here that'd like to speak to us?
It's hard to hear at first, but Kevin believes it says, "Don't tell anyone." If you isolate the sound and increase the volume, it becomes more apparent. It also sounds like, "Don't tell them." Many who have heard the EVP were quick to make a connection with the story of the wealthy father's neglect to the eerie whispering voice. They believe it's the spirit of the father whispering to little Grace, trying to keep his shameful secret quiet. Don't tell them.
Is there anybody here that'd like to speak to us?
And just a reminder, if you've got your own scary photos or videos you'd like to submit to us, head to our brand new Slapped Ham subreddit. There's a link in the description box below. You can also email us at the address that's seen on screen there, submissions@hammedia.net. Does a foul-smelling ghost haunt this old pub in Corsley, Wiltshire, UK? The owners of the White Hart pub believe a spirit resides in the building. A spirit with a distinct musty body odour. Staff and punters alike have reported a strange presence touch and even scratch them unexpectedly. The incidents are said to be followed by an awful smell. In July 2021, CCTV footage seems to have captured evidence of just such a spirit haunting the pub. Take a look. As you can see, the measuring cup slides about all on its own. Owners Adele Gill and Steve Ellis have dubbed the entity Henry and believe it's the spirit of the former landlord. For years, strange, unexplained events have been happening on the premises. Gill said that one time while clearing out the safe, she felt a hand grab her leg. She distinctly remembers feeling a thumb and fingers wrap around her leg and tightly grip. Kitchen staff have seen and heard things too. One morning they discovered a row of dishes, normally kept on the top of the fridge, all neatly lined up on the floor. Eerie, disembodied whispers have been heard and vapour-like substances have been spotted swirling around the pub. Guests sometimes leave in a hurry only to admit sometime later that they think they saw something moving behind the bar when there was no one else around. And, of course, time and time again, a strange smell is left in the air, distinctly like bad body odour. So could this CCTV footage be proof that a ghost really does haunt this old pub? Take another look and judge for yourself. David Langley Evans owns the Thomas Arms Hotel, a 184-year-old pub in Llanelli, Wales. He claims on numerous occasions he's seen a strange white apparition appear on the premises. Now he has CCTV footage that seems to substantiate his claims. Take a look at what the security cameras captured. As you can see, a white, mist-like shape seems to rise directly out of the carpeted floor. It then floats up towards the ceiling. David has worked in the old pub for over 10 years, and in that time he's said he's experienced all kinds of strange activity. One night while closing up, David and his wife saw a fishbowl slide the length of the bar and smash on the floor opposite. The couple believe the paranormal activity centers around the cellar, which dates back to around 1830. Staff have reported seeing shadowy figures, and they've heard faint whispers in their ears, and unseen hands seem to grab at them while down in the old cellar. Some skeptics claim that the footage shows nothing more than a bug crawling across the lens of the security camera. David, however, denies these claims, saying it looks too much like the apparition he's seen with his very own eyes. So, given the pub's eerie history, could this footage really show a ghost? Love to get your take on this in the comments section down below. In April of 1964 in Socorro, New Mexico, something strange happened in the desert that has continued to baffle historians for decades. It was around 5:45 PM on April 24 when police officer Lonnie Zamora was in pursuit of a speeding vehicle south of Socorro. Suddenly, he heard a loud roar accompanied by a flame in the sky about a mile away from the road his car was speeding down. Police radio dispatcher Nep Lopez received a call from Zamora asking him to look out the window to see if he could see anything flying in the sky. Lopez asked Zamora to describe what he was seeing. His reply was that it looked almost like a balloon. Zamora asked for backup to meet him right away. When Officer Zamora heard the boom, his first instinct was that the local dynamite shack had exploded. He stopped chasing the car he'd been pursuing to divert his attention to tracking down the explosion. As he headed towards the dynamite shack, Zamora saw a shiny object about 200 yards ahead. While his first impression was that the object was an overturned vehicle that had been propped up on something, this impression didn't last long. Zamora also observed two people clothed in white coveralls standing next to the object. He could also see that the shiny object was being held up by some kind of O-shaped apparatus. Zamora didn't get much of a chance to assess the scene before he heard a thunderous roar that conjured up a blue-orange flame under the suspended shiny object. The mystery object rose into the air before disappearing. When Sergeant Chavez arrived as backup, Zamora guided him towards an area of smouldering brush and grass near the road that had caught fire. Nearly 60 years later, nobody's sure what Zamora actually saw out there by the side of the road in New Mexico. The one thing that is certain is that Zamora's experience is one of the most credible UFO stories in history. Several theories have circulated in the decades since that day. Many people believe that Zamora had an encounter with an alien craft. Others are certain he caught a glimpse of some top-secret testing done by the nearby White Sands missile range. For others, this is clearly a prank done by some tech students attending nearby New Mexico Tech. Even the college's president thought it may have been some mischievous kids up to no good. Others have floated around the idea that the fiery image was actually just a mirage from a star called Canopus. In recent years, the people of Socorro have fully embraced the fanfare of this alleged UFO encounter. In fact, a special walkway with wooden benches was erected to make the landing site accessible to tourists. Recently, the town even erected a mural to commemorate the sighting. The only person who wasn't interested in the fanfare was Lonnie Zamora himself. Zamora was so tired of talking about the incident that he retreated to a quiet life as a gas station attendant. After spending a life avoiding UFO enthusiasts and their questions, Zamora passed away from natural causes in 2009. Positioned just off West Africa, the Canary Islands of Spain are known for their exotic beauty. People from around the world come to splash in warm waves beside dormant volcanoes in this luxury slice of heaven. As the largest island in the Canary Islands, Tenerife is best known for its beautiful festivals with ornate costumes and vibrant music. However, Tenerife has a darker side that you won't see if you stay at your resort. Barranco de Barrios is a ravine located just past the Canary Islands pyramids in Guimar. The area has a reputation for paranormal activity. In fact, many people who visit the ravine return with bizarre lights and figures captured in photographs. Among the sightings reported here are strange balls of light, bizarre orbs, creepy beings, loud voices, winged creatures, angelic beings, and UFOs. The most famous legend of all associated with this rocky remote area is an incident called the Girl with the Pears. According to this legend, a young local girl was sent by her parents to go pluck fruit from the trees at the ravine at some point around the late 1800s. When the girl never returned, all searches for her came up empty. However, the girl did eventually return on her own. Where the story gets stranger is that the girl didn't show up until decades later. In addition to being the exact same age she was when she disappeared, the girl also believed she had only been gone for a few hours. The lost time element of this story is a telltale sign of UFO abduction for many enthusiasts. In some accounts of the story, the girl shared that she had spent time with strange beings in a cave during her time away before being deposited back to the ravine. In 1912, two miners claimed to have seen strange white beings in one of the caves near where they had been operating. The workers were so shocked by the encounter they fled and reported what had happened to the Civil Guard headquarters in Guimar. While stories go back decades, it wasn't until July of 1991 that the paranormal happenings at Barranco de Barrios gained some real traction. On the night of July 1st, a photographer named Teo Bermeo was exploring the ravine with a group of people when he managed to take a photograph of an object that was allegedly fluttering around him. While the image is blurry, you can make out several streaks of light. The images have been studied by photography experts who have deduced that the photos haven't been tampered with in any way. However, they're at a loss to explain what's been captured. Interestingly, even historians and archaeologists agree that this is a significant site. Several mummies belonging to the Guanche tribe that inhabited Tenerife before the arrival of the Spaniards during the 15th century have been found in the lands surrounding the ravine. In 1991, a mysterious bronze handle was discovered in one of the caves. The handle depicts a winged humanoid with its arms reaching upwards. Many historians believe that the artifact was left behind by the Nazis, who were known to be searching the caves during World War II. Throughout the late 1930s and early 1940s, the Nazi Party deployed archaeologists around the world to look for relics rumoured to wield supernatural powers. History professor Eric Kurlander from Stetson University believes that the Nazi Party were obsessed with what is known as the supernatural imaginary. Things like the Holy Grail, anti-gravity machines, witchcraft, and world ice theory were all researched with intense curiosity and belief. Many people believe the bronze handle found in the caves of Barranco de Barrios depict the mysterious beings that locals have been reporting for centuries. So what exactly is going on in this mysterious ravine in the Canary Islands? Is it all just something dreamt up out of Indiana Jones's diary, or is there really something supernatural happening in Barranco de Barrios? It was just after sunset on a summer night in 1952 when two commercial airline pilots manning a Pan American World Airways route from New York to Miami saw something that still can't be explained. On July 14, First Officer William B. Nash and Second Officer William H. Fortenberry could still see the coastline as they cruised over the Chesapeake Bay, with plans to make a position report. As the city of Newport News passed under them, the pilots saw a radiant red-orange light covering the ground. This was followed by a series of 6 illuminated objects with rounded forms speeding towards the plane. The pilots reported that the lights were brighter than any city lights that could be seen from the plane. As the pilots watched the lights, the objects created a narrow echelon formation in the sky. In a dazzling display, the objects all switched to a vertical plane before zipping off in a southward direction. Having served in the Navy, Nash and Fortenberry both possessed extensive knowledge on aircraft identification. However, the only description that the pair could provide when calling in the sighting to the folks at Norfolk from their cockpit was that they were encountering flying saucers. The pair also noted that the intentional movements of the craft made it obvious that these saucers were being piloted by something with intelligence. The next day, Air Force investigators summoned Nash and Fortenberry. The two were interviewed in separate rooms for more than an hour. Using reenactments, the pilots confirmed that the aircraft would have had to have travelled at 200 miles per minute to be able to cover the distances that the pilots observed. Interestingly, several reports of local residents seeing mysterious sources in the sky on the evening of July 14 appeared in Norfolk newspapers in the days that followed. While credible reports of a sky formation from 2 pilots would point straight to UFOs, skeptics have other ideas. One theory is that the lights were caused by a beacon or searchlight off the coast of Virginia. Others believe that the stars simply aligned just perfectly for the pilots to encounter a mirage of Venus. There's even a theory that the pilots were simply seeing fireflies trapped inside the glass of the cockpit window. However, given the extensive training and specialised skills that both Nash and Fortenberry possessed, it's hard to think that they would both misidentify fireflies or a sighting of Venus in the sky. For decades, this encounter has continued to puzzle and intrigue anyone who researches it. Ultimately, however, what actually happened in the skies over Virginia on the 14th of July 1952 remains a complete mystery. If you ever find yourself trekking through the United Kingdom in search of strange places with curious pasts, mark a spot called Jay's Grave tucked away in Dartmoor on your map. The subject of local folklore, Jay's Grave, is something you'd probably pass by without giving anything a second glance if you didn't know the legend. In fact, what your eyes are looking for is nothing more than a small burial ground about 1 mile west of Hound Tor. You'll know you've arrived at the place when you see fresh cut flowers resting on the grave. While nobody's ever taken credit for the flowers, they're always there. So who does this makeshift grave belong to? Locals believe it's the final resting place of a girl named Kitty Jay, a poor farmhand in the late 18th century. After becoming pregnant to the farmer's son, Kitty was outcast and ridiculed by the local town for being promiscuous. The pregnant teen gave birth and left the child on the steps of an orphanage. She later committed suicide. Her body was found hanging in a barn. Local authorities wouldn't allow Kitty to have a Christian burial due to the fact that she had died by suicide. They instead buried her on a tract of land beside an intersection on a quiet road. The burial site fell into relative obscurity. However, locals began noticing that the plot always had fresh-cut flowers adorning the grave. Come rain, hail or shine, there was always a bright, fresh bunch of flowers despite no one admitting to putting them there. In addition to the perpetual floral offerings, the spot that's become known as Jay's Grave is now a hotbed for bizarre sightings. Tourists often see what appears to be a teen girl wrapped in a black cloak. Others spot a ghostly image that's said to be the son of the farmer who banished Kitty after she became pregnant. Some have even reported crying sounds in the open fields. Even today, bunches of flowers appear without reason. Locals believe it's become something of a self-fulfilling prophecy. As the legend continues to be told, locals sneak up and place flowers on the grave to keep the tale alive. But as for the mysterious apparitions that have been spotted lingering near the grave, their true origins remain unknown. In 1983, Karen Collette rode the London Underground with her nephew on an afternoon outing. While on the Bakerloo line, Collette took a number of photos of her nephew sitting on the train, smiling. She thought nothing of the snaps at the time other than a cute way to remember the day. However, when she later had the photos developed, something strange was apparent in one of the pictures. Here you can see Colette's nephew holding a camera, smiling. Strangely, in the background is a stylized image of a seated man with electricity shooting out his fists. The train was speeding through a tunnel at the time and there was no advertising on the rear wall of the cabin. Collette was at a loss to explain the image. At the time, the photo caused quite a stir, so much so that it caught the attention of paranormal investigator Maurice Grosse, who gained notoriety for his involvement in the Enfield poltergeist case in 1977. Grosse carefully studied the image and found a number of bizarre details. Firstly, it was determined that it was highly unlikely that the image was manipulated. Robert Cox from the National Museum of Photography, Film and Television noted that specialised equipment would be needed to pull off such an image in the early 1980s. Grosse continued to investigate the photo and discovered a match for the image of the seated man seen in the window. It was an almost exact copy of a figure on display at the time in Madame Tussauds Chamber of Horrors exhibit in London. The man is Bruno Richard Hauptmann, a German-born carpenter. In 1932, he was convicted of the abduction and murder of 20-month-old Charles Lindbergh Jr. It became known as the crime of the century. Hauptmann denied his involvement in the case to the very end when he was executed in 1936, put to death in the electric chair. Here's a comparison of Madame Tussauds' waxwork and the reflection in the London Underground. The two images were found to be identical, except for the stylized bolts of electricity shooting out of his fists in the London Underground image. Theories at the time suggested Tussauds must have used the wax figure as advertising and posted the image in the London Underground. However, records indicate that the image was never used in marketing throughout its entire showing. To make this story even more mysterious, another strange incident happened to Collette sometime later. Months after the London Underground image was taken, Collette went to visit a psychic medium with a friend. While Colette's friend sat for her reading, the medium left the room and approached Collette. She said it was urgent that she talk about her photo. This is what the medium said. "It's about your photo. I just want you to know," the man said, "I'm accused of something I didn't do, but I did something else." While the message is cryptic, Hauptmann insisted he was innocent even in the minutes that led to his execution. This eerie set of events has continued to baffle anyone who investigates the incident. In 2005, the BBC aired a program called The Ghosts on the Underground, which featured interviews with Collette, Robert Cox and Gross. But even after the BBC completed their investigation, the incident remains a complete mystery. In December 2020, TikToker DM Wesley began experiencing something strange in his home. Over a period of several weeks, he started hearing mysterious noises around the house. It got so persistent that he began trying to capture it on camera to share with the internet. After some days, he finally managed to capture the noise on camera. Take a look.
Okay, so I'm literally home alone. Listen to how loud and aggressive it is.
He's allegedly home alone, yet loud knocks can be heard at the door.
Literally home alone. Listen to how loud and aggressive it is.
In this second clip, we can see it happening again.
Okay, so I'm trying to get ready for bed. And there's another one.
This time, he tries knocking back.
Everyone's been asking me to try and knock back. You
In the third clip, we see the uploader awoken from a nap by the intense banging yet again.
So it's literally 3 in the afternoon, and it's been happening more during the day, and it's just not even scary. It's just...
There's clearly no one around.
To be completely honest, I can't take this anymore.
This series of videos went viral with thousands of viewers intrigued by the eerie events. Naturally, hundreds of comments poured in trying to solve the mystery. Here's the TikToker answering one of the most common questions.
So I get this comment a lot, so I'm just going to show you right above the door. So here's the door frame, and right above it, there is no attic, just a smoke detector and a vent. And since I know people are going to ask, this is the closet right outside the room, no attic.
Some viewers suggested installing a camera outside the door to see if you can gather any footage that might explain what's going on. As it stands, this is an ongoing mystery. There's regular updates on the account, which we'll link to in the description box below. It's well worth checking out.
It's so Everyone's been asking me to try and knock back. You
No one likes being woken up by strange noises around their home. YouTube user Ziggy09 managed to capture this exact situation on tape, making viewers double check their rooms before bedtime. In the video, we can see a person sleeping in a dark room. The person tosses and turns before getting up and turning on the light in the room. Watch what happens. As you can see, a strange figure appears in the window. The curtain on the right-hand side of the window inside the house moves slightly at the same time. Whatever it is just outside the window, it lingers for a few moments before disappearing. The individual returns and looks out the window for a few seconds. He then turns off the lights and gets back into bed. Later, more noises are heard. Take a look at what happens. This time, something white appears in the window. Unfortunately, this clip was filmed on a mouldy potato more than 10 years ago, so we're not able to get a clear view of what it is that's lurking outside the window. So just what is tapping at the window and waking this person up? Perhaps we'll never know. TikToker Megs Loves Ya seems to have caught something eerie on their home security system. In the first of a series of videos, we see footage shot from the security camera of the TikToker's front door. Take a look. We can see what looks to be a transparent figure jogging along the road in the early morning hours. In the second clip uploaded by the TikToker, she's zoomed in on the original footage. Here we can see that the figure's body does indeed seem transparent, though the figure's face looks more solid. In the last clip, the TikToker shares footage of her daughter running outside of her home to prove that she shows up solid on film. We can see that the daughter does indeed have a more solid form. After this, in the same clip, we can see footage of a car driving by the home, proving that objects show up clearly on the camera as well. There were tons of suggestions from other TikTok users on what this could be. Some believed that the ghostly figure looked the way they did due to dark clothing, or perhaps they were wearing reflective exercise wear. Others, though, thought that this was actually a ghost. They suggested it could be the spirit of a jogger who died on this very stretch of road. Although there's no evidence to suggest this footage continues to intrigue viewers. Ghost Stalkers Paranormal Investigations are a group of supernatural researchers operating out of North Carolina. They regularly travel to some of the most haunted places in the United States in the hopes of capturing evidence of otherworldly happenings. However, this next clip happened a little closer to home when they captured something strange in the back of a video of their son dancing. Take a look. While it's a little hard to make out at first, something appears to zip past the dancing child. The YouTuber believes that their house is active with spirits. They claim that a number of young children haunt their home. One in particular is a notorious entity they've dubbed Anna. The YouTuber believes that this is proof that Anna's spirit is lingering in the home. Could it be that their young son has befriended ghostly Anna? Or is there another way to explain this strange sighting? Love to hear your theories in the comment section down below. Some believe that loved ones who have passed away will visit from time to time. It's a comforting thought, though it's very rare to have actual proof of this happening. Reddit user bbeckers78 may have been able to experience just this situation, and shared a photo as proof. In the photo, we see three people posing together in a bar setting. In the background, directly above the woman in the middle, is what appears to be a blurry, slightly transparent figure. The figure resembles a woman smiling at the camera. Next to her, on the left, is a very bright orange light. The Redditor who posted this picture insisted that there was no one behind the group when the photo was taken, as he and his friends were the last people in the bar that night. Moreover, he claims that the orange light was not a bar light, and that it seemed to have appeared with the woman. He believes that the woman is the ghost of his mother, who passed away. Most other Redditors seem not to believe the photo, guessing that someone could have easily popped up in the background as a kind of photobomb. They blame the woman's transparency and the bright light as the result of a shaky hand taking the picture. Still, there are a small group of Redditors who thought the original poster should have the right to believe that this is his mum. If it brings him comfort, it may just be best to let this Redditor have this moment. There are certain locations that seem to attract spirits like magnets. Typically, these spots have tragic histories steeped in suffering and death. When YouTuber ZTube Family visited the town of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, they captured some compelling photos and videos, of what is sometimes called the most haunted town in America. The owner of the channel, Melissa Zed, shared this haunting evidence with us. Gettysburg was the site of one of the bloodiest battles of the American Civil War. Over the course of 3 days in 1863, approximately 10,000 people lost their lives and 30,000 more were injured. With so many casualties, it's unsurprising that visitors to Gettysburg frequently report spotting ghosts around the battlefield. The hauntings don't end there, however. Injured soldiers were housed in buildings all around the city, and it's thought that the spirits of some of these unfortunate men linger in the places where they spent their final hours. Some think the spirits are peaceful, while others retain auras of anger and pain left over from their experiences in the war. Gettysburg truly is a town of the dead. The family that captured these photos visited Gettysburg in May of 2021. During their stay, the family visited a haunted location each night in hopes of capturing ghostly images. They weren't disappointed. On one evening, they hunted for spirits near Little Round Top, the site of one of the most famous skirmishes during the Battle of Gettysburg. This skirmish accounted for over 1,500 of the battle's total casualties. The family took numerous photos around the site. They later discovered something rather chilling in one of the photos. A mysterious black mass can be seen blocking the pathway in front of them. It almost blends into the surrounding darkness, but close inspection shows that there's definitely a dark shadow in the shape of a slightly rounded triangle, standing out against the night sky. The mass is even more visible in an equalized version of the photo. A noise analysis of the photo seems to indicate that it hasn't been altered in any way either. Some paranormal experts believe that some spirits are unable to appear in corporeal form, as it requires a high amount of energy. They believe it's more common for spirits to appear as shadows or balls of light. Often, these indications of a ghostly presence can't be seen with the naked eye, but show up clearly in photos and videos. So could this creepy black mass indicate the presence of one of the many victims of the Battle of Gettysburg? You never know what will happen during a night out on the town. Redditor Swedish Blueberry certainly didn't expect to come home with this eerie photo while sharing some drinks with a friend at a local park late one night. While the Redditor and her friend were having a good time in the park, they decided to snap a selfie. However, it seems as if the park wasn't quite as empty as they originally thought. When they looked at the photo later, they noticed a figure in the background that they're sure wasn't there when they took the photo. There appears to be a woman with pale skin walking down the path behind them. Some viewers think that she's probably just an ordinary woman that the girls didn't notice. However, one would think you would remember a strange pale lady walking through a park late at night. Although the Redditor admits to being under the influence of alcohol when they took the photo, this sight would be hard to miss. So what's actually going on in this photo? Does it show a perfectly ordinary woman that the Redditor and her friend failed to notice? Or were they being followed by someone or something? Look at the photo closely and judge for yourself. Cemeteries are a common spot for ghost hunters to try their luck at capturing evidence of ghostly activity. Sydney Southwest paranormal investigators believe they hit the jackpot when they visited St Bartholomew's Cemetery. St Bartholomew's Cemetery in Sydney, Australia is said to be haunted by numerous spirits. A few of the graves date back to 1841, with some even containing Sydney's first colonists. Stories say that John Pond, the former gravedigger and warden of the cemetery, still lingers there long after his death. Pond's spirit is said to be relatively friendly, unlike the ghost of Benjamin Holland, a former sea captain who is also buried in the cemetery. Holland's grave is the site of the majority of paranormal events in the cemetery, and not all of them are pleasant. Holland apparently takes great offense to anyone laughing near his grave, causing those who offend him to feel sick or momentarily paralyzed. Some people even claim they've lost consciousness at the gravesite. Others say that Holland's ghost sometimes appears walking around the graveyard, distinguished by his unusual gait. However, it's another spirit who caught the public's attention when this bizarre photograph was published by the group Sydney Southwest Paranormal Investigators. In the image, we see a translucent white figure standing near a headstone. The figure has a clear human shape but is completely devoid of features. A local historian who feels a strong aversion to visiting the area of the cemetery where this photo was taken believes this could be the ghost of Thomas James Willis, whose young daughter Emily is buried there. Emily died at the age of 3, and she and her father seem to be confined to the cemetery in the afterlife. According to the historian, Emily is a spirit that loves to play tricks on visitors, often darting towards the nearby highway to make visitors think that a child's in danger. So could this photo show the spirit of Willis looking for his missing daughter Emily? Or perhaps it's the spirit of the surly sea captain Benjamin Horlin, or even gravedigger John Pond. With so many reported hauntings and first-hand accounts of paranormal happenings, it seems this mysterious figure could indeed be a sign of the afterlife. When Slaptam viewer Gordon M snapped a photo to commemorate a fun night at a concert, he never expected to end up with a ghostly photo. However, it seems spirits have a way of surprising you. The photo was taken in May of 2017 when Gordon and his family were headed to see Iron Maiden play in concert. They found an out-of-the-way spot to capture the photo where the rest of the crowd wouldn't be in the background. Nothing about the spot seemed unusual. However, when they looked at the photo later, they noticed something rather strange: an unexplained person standing behind them. The figure appears to be a man wearing a red jacket. He's looking down towards the ground. However, Gordon and his son are absolutely certain that there was no one behind them when they took the photo. The figure is clearly very close to them, so it would have been difficult for him to sneak up behind them without them noticing. Even at the outdoor venue, they surely would have heard footsteps approaching from behind. So does this image show a photobombing concert goer, or something far more sinister? Love to get your thoughts in the comments down below. When the Retford ghost hunters visited the Sheffield General Cemetery in the UK, they walked away with compelling evidence of the cemetery's status as a haunted location. The Sheffield General Cemetery has been in existence since 1836, established during the country's Victorian era. The graveyard is filled with granite monuments and sculptures that lend an eerie air to the allegedly haunted location. When the ghost hunters visited, they took numerous photos so that they could examine them later for indications of spiritual activity. They weren't expecting to see something quite so compelling. In one of the photos, a white ghostly figure stands out starkly against the night sky. The figure appears to be a woman in a flowing white dress hovering just above a grave. The woman in white is a common ghostly manifestation typically believed to be the spirit of a woman who died amidst tragedy or heartbreak. This particular woman in white is believed to be the spirit of Catherine Parker, a merchant's wife who died by suicide in 1844. Her husband died without a will, leaving Catherine and her 5 children destitute. After years of struggling to care for them alone, the stress and anxiety became too much for Catherine. She hanged herself and became one of the first to be buried in the Sheffield General Cemetery. Numerous visitors to the cemetery claim to have spotted a ghostly figure garbed in a white dress floating about the gravestones late at night. Catherine's life was certainly filled with heartache, making her a likely suspect for the mysterious woman in white. So could this photo really show Catherine's tormented spirit? Let me know what you think down below. This photo from Redditor Beetlemuse seems to show something inexplicable and has caused quite a stir in the paranormal community. The photo was taken during a tour of a museum. Next to an exhibit enclosed in a glass case, we see a young man walking past. Everything about the photo seems relatively normal on first glance. However, if you look closely at his feet, you'll notice something highly unusual. There appears to be 3 feet instead of 2. The black sole of his left shoe is visible in one spot, and an entire shoe of a completely different colour can be seen in front of it. So what's going on in this strange photo? Some viewers believe that the shadows on the floor don't match with the image that we see, suggesting that it could be photoshopped. However, others point out that a ghostly appendage may not cast a normal shadow. Another possibility is a photo glitch. Because the man was clearly moving when the photo was taken, it's possible that the camera caught his foot in 2 different positions, creating the weird effect that we see. However, a close examination of the shoe seems to rule out this possibility. First of all, the ghostly foot is wearing a completely different shoe altogether. Additionally, the position of the mysterious third foot would be impossible based on the man's position. If the camera glitched and captured a previous or subsequent step, the third foot should appear further behind or in front of the man. So what do you think's going on in this strange photo? Until further information comes to hand, it will have to remain a mystery. Abandoned houses, such as the residence featured in this photo from imager user ARG6531, are another great place to hunt for spirits. Sometimes a ghostly apparition might make an appearance, even when you aren't expecting it. This photo was taken when the user's friends snuck into an abandoned house in their town to explore. They took numerous photos during their visit, including this photo from the attic. On first glance, there doesn't seem to be anything unusual. There are only a few items scattered around the abandoned attic, nothing to indicate a ghostly presence. However, when the explorer later shared the images with friends, they noticed something they didn't see before. It seems that the explorer wasn't alone in the abandoned house. If you look closely at the small bench on the left-hand side of the photo, there seems to be a translucent figure watching them. The figure is almost entirely transparent, but seems to be a young boy seated on the bench, with his head turned towards the camera. Some viewers believe he has an old-fashioned hairstyle and clothing, so who knows how long he could have been residing in this old attic. Is this ghostly boy for real, or is the photo a fake? Without more information, it's impossible to determine who this lonely spirit could be. For now, this ghostly presence remains an unsolved mystery. Clip Hantu is a YouTube channel based in Indonesia that investigates dark and eerie places. They often stream live to their audience as they explore abandoned buildings and other allegedly haunted places. In this clip, Clip Hantu explores an abandoned medical clinic. Not long into the clip, something eerie happens. Watch. As creepy as this moving bench is, it's what they caught later in the clip that has left many viewers freaked out. Take a look. As you can see, a body seems to appear out of nowhere. The examination bench was empty when he entered the room. Yet, seconds later, when he pans past, what appears to be a wrapped up body is now lying on the slab. Plenty of viewers said it could just be a friend of the YouTuber wrapped up in some sort of sheet lying on the table. While this is certainly plausible, there's no way of knowing for certain. Ultimately, this encounter left thousands of viewers freaked out, with many believing it's the real deal. So what do you think? Fire off your theories in the comment section down below. Spending the night in an abandoned, supposedly haunted house, a fun idea or a disaster waiting to happen? That seems to be the ultimate question for many paranormal loving fans. YouTuber Tim Morozov wanted to find this out for himself, so he decided to stay in a home riddled with haunted stories in a remote part of Russia. The YouTuber had first heard about the house from an amateur metal treasure hunter who had visited the home in search of precious metals. During his search, the man said he saw strange signs and phrases written on the wall and began to feel uneasy. He claims he started to hear whispers in his ear, and the word devil was spoken by an invisible presence near him. He quickly left the house, never to return. Morozov found this hard to believe, so he began to inspect the area himself, asking the neighbors if they knew of any strange stories about the house. He learned that a family once lived there with a daughter who was suspected of being mentally ill or even possessed by demons. The family left and was never heard from again. The YouTuber decided to spend the night in the dilapidated house. This is what he captured on film. In the video, Morozov decides to investigate the house with an ultraviolet light.
Искатель. Надпись увидел. Я увидел еще одну. Она находится на печке. Здесь непонятные иероглифы в ультрафиолете. Видно.
Above the stove, he can see a scribble of indecipherable symbols, though one can be made out an upside-down cross.
Напоминает такой же, как тот там. Перевернутый крест в кругу. Есть круг. А вот еще квадрат в кругу. А потом перевернутый крест. Да нахер. Видите это?
The YouTuber places cameras and paranormal hunting equipment throughout the house, continuing to explore as he does so. He finds a lot of items that seem to have been left behind by the previous occupants, including some creepy dolls.
Кстати, вот такая, не сказал бы, что привлекательная кукла.
With the cameras all set up and the equipment ready to go, Morozov decides to get some sleep. Take a look at what the cameras caught. As you can see, a glass begins moving on its own in the kitchen. Then something else is caught. The chair looks as if it's being pushed and pulled by an invisible force. Moments later, a dresser opposite the sleeping YouTuber seems to open, all on its own. There are also eerie sounds that can be heard in the distance. It almost sounds like a muffled growl. The YouTuber then wakes up and begins inspecting his footage. That's when we can hear a glass breaking in the distance. Luckily, the cameras were still rolling.
Здесь есть кто-нибудь?
The YouTuber then goes to the kitchen to see what's happening. When he's there, something eerie happens.
Крючок закрыт.
As you can see, the cabinet door slowly creaks open. As if all this wasn't creepy enough, something even more terrifying takes place. As Morozov is inspecting some equipment, more activity is captured on film. Take a look.
Нихера себе. Нифига горит вообще сейчас. Дико. Охренеть, это активность. Охренеть вообще.
There's no denying there is a ton of creepy paranormal activity that seems to be happening here. The question is, what is the source? Some viewers thought that it was very strange that so many objects were left behind. Had the previous family fled in a hurry? Love to get your take on this creepy footage in the comments section down below. The last thing we want to see when filming a cute video of our kids is someone or something running around in the background. Unfortunately, TikTok user Wahid_PC uploaded a clip that showed just that. In the video, we see a small child sitting on the floor in the middle of frame. Watch what happens. In the background, we can see what looks to be a small dark figure running past the doorway. The footage is quite dark, so here it is again in slow motion. The uploader said that just the child and the camera holder were the only ones in the house when the clip was taken, so there shouldn't have been anyone else in the home. Many took this with a grain of salt, however, and said that it was probably just another child running around in the house. Still, others were creeped out by the speed of the figure. Is a small child capable of running that fast? And if it's not a child, just what is it? In May of 2021, something strange was spotted in the sky off the coast of Huntington Beach, California. The mysterious sighting was posted to the TikTok account UFO Channel. In the clip, the camera holder shows viewers a wide shot of the ocean, explaining that he's on a ferry with no land or other boats around. He then points the camera to the sky, where we can see a cluster of bright lights hovering above the water.
What that is? We're in the middle of the ocean, on a ferry.
Most people's go-to explanation was that these lights were actually a group of floating lanterns. People often release these lanterns into the sky from a beach, either as part of a holiday celebration or a group event. Still, others were doubtful, claiming it was some kind of alien surveillance.
Bam. What is that? Anybody tell me what that is? We're in the middle of the ocean.
So until more info comes to hand, there's no way to truly verify what it is we're seeing. These will have to remain unidentified flying objects.
Bam. What is that? Anybody tell me what that is? We're in the middle of the ocean.
In June 2021, TikToker Samuel Aldridge, who goes by the username Slamuri, began posting videos documenting an alleged haunting in his home. He claims strange things have been happening around his house, unexplained noises have been heard coming from the attic, and objects often move about the house without reason. However, it was when things began happening to his young daughter that the haunting took a turn for the worst. Because the activity became so frequent and unsettling, Aldridge set up cameras all around his house to try and catch what was happening on film. The first video begins by showing footage of the TikToker's living room. Watch what he caught on camera. The rocking horse rocks back and forth, seemingly all on its own. The clip then cuts to a view of a hallway. An antique just in front of a dresser begins moving. The second clip finds the TikToker upstairs in a room. He hears a sound nearby and goes to investigate. He reaches a ledge that shows us downstairs, where we can see the rocking horse moving once again by itself. All of a sudden, there's a loud banging sound and the TikToker whips the camera around. We can see a small door in the wall, perhaps an entrance to the attic. The third video, filmed as a live video going out to thousands of viewers, shows things getting even creepier. While exploring a crawl space in his roof, he discovered a series of names etched into the wall.
We got C-H-E, whatever the hell that is, Y, Smith, Kathleen, Dave.
The TikToker reads the names out loud. As soon as he reads the name Norman, his flashlight begins to flicker on and off.
Norman. Are y'all seeing this?
He asks his live viewers if they're seeing what he's seeing. He says Norman once more and the flashlight continues to flicker.
Okay, let's try this again. Norman?
He then says it's starting to get cold in the room.
It's starting to get colder and colder, yo.
After a few moments of this strange activity, he panics and leaves the room.
Can you... I don't... Yo, no.
In the next clip, the TikToker is filming his daughter walking around in the kitchen.
Abigail.
She turns and walks down an opening to the left. The TikToker calls out her name but receives no response. Watch what happens.
Abigail.
If we replay that again and listen closely, you can hear an eerie voice in the background call out what sounds like mine.
Abigail.
Panicking, the TikToker frantically searches his house for his daughter.
Where is Abigail?
He looks in multiple rooms but finds nothing.
Abigail. Buddy.
Aldridge eventually finds his daughter back in her room in her crib crying. In the last video, the TikToker is talking to his daughter as she eats in her baby seat. He asks her where she went yesterday. Take a listen.
Can you show me where? Okay. So you were up there?
His daughter looks upwards, suggesting that she ended up in the attic.
You were up there? In the attic?
He then asks where it is right now, and the daughter just looks off to the side.
In the attic? Where is it right now?
Most viewers were absolutely terrified for the daughter, saying that Aldridge should immediately seek help from a local priest or exorcist to cleanse the house of its paranormal activity.
Yo, no, Abigail, where you at? Dude, not again. Abigail, yo, how did you, what? Where are you?
Ultimately, no one knows what is actually happening in Samuel Aldridge's home. He continues to post updates to his TikTok account. We'll put a link in the description box below. It's well worth checking out. Instagrammer It's Corny posted what was supposed to be a goofy clip of a lady dancing around her house. Instead, it turned into something that's making many viewers give the video a double take. The clip shows a girl dancing in the middle of a messy living room. Watch what happens. For some reason, the light to the very left begins swinging back and forth, seemingly all on its own. It seems that nearly everyone who saw this clip couldn't believe what they were witnessing. Some suggested that the Instagrammer's house may be haunted, while others thought it was most likely a hoax to drive some views. So where do you sit on this one? Hoax or haunting? Let me know down below. Now, if you're enjoying our longer compilations, then check out that one on the top there. Otherwise, there's a massive paranormal playlist here you can binge on for hours and hours. Leave us a comment down below, pulverize that thumbs up button as usual. And that's it for me. I'll see you all next time.